Hey, everybody. We are going to be getting started on our essay for The Outsiders, and I have a bunch of instructions to give you. I have a ton of examples to give you. This is going to be a little bit lengthy, probably a lot boring, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of break down what my expectations are for you for this essay. I'm going to go over the due dates. I'm going to give you examples. You're going to kind of use the information that you've already collected. A lot of you have been working on the collection of your thesis and claims and things like that over last week's assignments. So you're going to be able to use that stuff for the essay. So I've cut the essay length down quite a bit. Instead of being a 3-page essay, it's now going to be a 3-paragraph essay. And it's much smaller. It can be done in about a page and a half without skipping lines. I'm not really going to talk much about the structure of how it should look on the page, other than to give you some examples that you can follow. Okay, so let me get started here with a little bit of a presentation. So we're calling this essay our response to literature. Those of you that have been in the class last week, we had a chance to watch the movie. There were a few of you that, are working from home that have also seen the movie. And those of you that have obviously read the book, you're going to have a leg up on the people that haven't. So basically the book has a lot of lessons in it for us to learn. I mean, we talked a lot about how violence changes people. We talked about how social classes interact with each other. There's gangs. There's a lot of stuff to learn in there. There's, people that feel like they belong, people that feel like they don't belong. There's murder. There's, a lot of stuff going on in this book, stuff that we can learn from. So the novel has given us quite a bit to think about, and so we've talked about many of the lessons from the book that we can kind of glean and talk about in our own lives. So theme. You have to decide on a theme that you want to focus on in this book, okay? I give an example. And if you've been in any of my classes where I've talked about this, the example of violence in society, or the example of social classes and how they can cause violence and things like that. Those are some really simple themes that you can think of. And if you choose a theme that somebody else is using, because you're probably going to, you're going to have to approach it in your own way. So you need to pick a single theme to focus your 3-paragraph essay on. Once you've decided on a theme, you have to pick at least one character to focus your discussion on. And think about how the theme that you've chosen causes that character to change, or how changes happen at all. We basically want you to talk about how things change. And over the course of the novel, a lot of things change. And as an example, I give here the theme of violence. Violence changes many of the characters. It changes Dally, it changes Derry, it changes Ponyboy, it changes Johnny, it changes Soda Pop. I mean, there's so many examples that you can pick out of that book where a character is reacting to another character, or reacting to an act of violence. And those are great examples that you can pick from the story. If you are stuck on a theme and you didn't do the assignments from last week, you're going to have to do a Google search. I mean, you can do a Google search. There are tons of themes out there that you can use for The Outsiders. The one thing I will caution you against is don't focus. If you find something online and it sounds really good, and you just want to use that, I'm going to know that you used it, and I'm going to know it just based on how it sounds, because I know how most of you write. Okay, so you can choose somebody else's theme, but you must write about it in your own way. So I have a template and I have examples to share with you, which I'm going to do right now. So I use the template that I provide for you. Okay, it is part of this assignment, and it's you can type right on the template. It allows you to type on it, and I'm going to show you my example. It's going to help you with the structure of the essay. Each paragraph has certain parts that need to be in it, and those are included on the template. You have to follow the rules for spelling, punctuation, and grammar. This is a final essay, and you're 8th graders. This has to be your absolute best ability. It must be your best writing, okay? You must write in paragraph structures. You can't use texting language. You can't use the letter U for the word U. You must capitalize the letter I for the word I every single time. You must indent each paragraph. Okay, you have to follow these rules so that your essay sounds good. It needs to sound almost professional. So use the example template to see how it's done. Read the example essay. So I do have an example essay I'm going to share with you guys, and I do have it posted. You can't type on it or copy it. It's an example from an 8th grade student. Use your ideas from last week's lessons when we talked about thesis and claims. Use the internet to assist with ideas, but do not copy and paste anything. Okay. When you copy and paste somebody else's work, that's plagiarism. Plagiarism is a very serious offense in school. Okay. The due date. The due date is going to be on Monday, February the 22nd. Okay. That gives you quite a bit of time to work on this. I'm not going to give you any other assignments this week other than this essay. Okay. Points will be deducted for late essays, and I will not accept any essays after February 28th. After February 28th, the window is closed. Every day that it's late, I'm going to deduct some points. Okay? Now, let me show you what our template looks like. Okay, so this is my template, and this is your template. Okay, so your template, you're going to notice, guys, and let me zoom out of the template a little bit. I've made it so that there's a lot of structure here. You can kind of see the structure, and you can type right on here. So when we're writing an essay, we have to catch people's attention, right? We have to have something called a hook. And a hook is just simply a sentence, okay? And it's a sentence to get somebody thinking about something. It doesn't have to be prolific. It doesn't have to be profound. It could just be something that you noticed in the book that you want other people to notice. In your first paragraph, we need to see, we need to have, the genre. We need to know the author's name, the title of the novel, a short summary of the novel, and your thesis, and an introduction for your evidence or for your body, okay? And I'm going to share an example with you guys. I'm going to show you first what I have as my example, and then we're going to read the opening paragraph to an example that another student wrote. Okay, it's not one of my students, it's another student from somewhere else. Okay, so let me move this out of the way, and we'll look at my example. All right, so here's the hook. And notice how I just typed right on here. I highlighted it just so it's easier for you guys to see. So here's my hook. Have you ever felt like you didn't fit in? That's going to be the first question in my essay. Think about the title of the book, The Outsiders. Obviously, Ponyboy doesn't feel like he belongs to the Greasers, and he doesn't feel like he belongs to the Socs. So, the author's name, S.E. Hinton. The genre is realistic fiction. The title, The Outsiders. This can be part of your first paragraph. Short summary of the novel. This realistic fictional novel is about two groups that do not get along. The Socs are rich, and the Greasers are poor. Hinton writes the story from the perspective of a young greaser named Ponyboy who doesn't fit in with the Socs or the Greasers and deals with social injustice because he's an outsider. So that's my summary. Your summary, I'm sure it'll be similar, but it won't be that. My thesis, okay. S.E. Hinton argues that Ponyboy is an outsider in her novel, The Outsiders. So that's what I have to prove, okay? And I have to prove that by supplying evidence from the book. So I came up with some subpoints that I would probably want to talk about in my other paragraphs, okay? So my first subpoint is doesn't fit in with the Socs, and I can find evidence to prove that. Doesn't fit in with the Greasers, and again, I can find evidence to prove that. He deals with social injustice because he's an outsider. So paragraph 1, here's my topic sentence. Because Ponyboy is poor, he does not fit in with the Socs. And I found a quotation to support that. So notice what I did with the quotation, guys. Obviously, it's got quotation marks. I also used the page number, and I have to put the title of the author, the name, last name of the author with the page number that I found that in. So that's all I'm going to ask you to do for this one. So I'm not sure how you spell it, but it's the abbreviation for the Socials, the Jet Set, the West Side Rich Kids. So that proves that the Socs are the rich kids, right? And we know that Ponyboy is poor. So there's a quotation that's going to help me. Now remember, this is just an outline. This is not my essay. My essay is going to have a lot more in it. This just the author's last name and page number. That's just from right here. In my commentary, growing up on the lower class east side, Ponyboy is considered white trash because he wears leather jackets and has greasy long hair. So that is information that must be in my paragraph. Okay. My paragraph should be a little bit longer than this, but this is the information that I can base my paragraph on. What do I want to have in my paragraph 2? Well, my first topic sentence, as the youngest of the group, Ponyboy does not fit in with the other greasers because he is sensitive. They make fun of him because he likes to read poetry and things like that. We can find evidence, especially when Ponyboy's talking to Johnny or Soda Pop, where he says, I can only talk to you guys about this stuff. Think about when they were in the church and he was with Johnny and they talked about Robert Frost's poem, okay? And I could use evidence, I can actually use a quote from that section to say, where he actually says to Johnny, I can't talk about this stuff with anybody except for you and Soda Pop. So, and here's a quotation that I found. I'm not like them. Nobody in our gang digs movies and books the way I do. For a while there, I thought I was the only person in the world who did. That's on the very first page of the book. Okay? Unlike the rest of the greasers, Pony goes to school and makes good grades. He enjoys watching sunsets, and he hates violence. Okay, so think about that. Violence changes him, and it affects him, but he hates it. My third paragraph, this is what I came up with. I had a topic sentence. So remember, I'm taking these from up here. All right, so he doesn't fit in with the socias. Second paragraph, he doesn't fit in with the greasers. Third paragraph, he deals with social injustice. So Essie Hinton illustrates to her readers that being an outsider often results in unfair treatment. So I'm going to summarize a quote: who, where, when, what, and why. Ponyboy knows that his social class prevents him from being treated equally with the socias. Think about it. He gets told by Cherry, hey, if I don't say hi to you in the hallway at school, please don't take it personally. So Ponyboy understands that he's being treated differently. He's being treated differently by his greaser friends, and he's being treated differently by the socias. Here's a quotation. Us greasers get it worse than anyone else. And that's from page 87 in the book. My commentary, or this is how I explain the quotation in connection to the thesis. So I'm restating my theme here. Due to the fact that Pony does not fit in with the socias and comes from the east side, social injustice is something he must endure. However, because of his sensitivity, he cares and wants to overcome more than the typical greaser. Okay, so the highlighted areas are areas that I will expand upon when I'm actually writing my essay. This is not the essay. This is the plan for the essay. What I don't want to see, for example, if you see my example, I'm not just going to copy and paste the highlighted parts and make that an essay. I actually have to make it sound good. I have to beef it up a little bit. I have to add some stuff to it. I have to make it sound readable. My conclusion, I need to restate my thesis. As you can see, the author wants her readers to understand that Ponyboy is an outsider and to think about how that affects his life. Restatement of the 3 subpoints. Because he is not part of the socias, he faces discrimination from society. Unfortunately, Pony is not a typical greaser either, which allows the reader to see what an outsider he truly is in the novel. And then down here I say, remember to include how he has grown or changed. So whatever character you're talking about, you need to remind the reader how they've grown or changed because of the theme that you've chosen. However, Ponyboy refuses to let this stand in his way and strives to achieve more than what is expected of a boy from the east side. So I have right here on these 2 sheets of paper, I have enough planning material so that I can go right ahead and start actually writing my essay. And I'm going to break it up just like this is broken up here. We have our introduction, we have our 3 paragraphs. So you're going to have an opening paragraph, your 3 body paragraphs, and your concluding paragraph. So typically, when I say it's a 3-paragraph essay, that's the body of the essay. You still need a conclusion. You still need an introduction and a conclusion. So it comes out to 5 paragraphs. Okay. So If you look at the template that I've given you, you're going to take this template and you're going to fill it out, just like I filled out this one right here. Okay, this is going to be the structure and the plan for your essay. So this is where, and I'm going to type in another color so it's easier to see. So this is where you would type your hook. Then you fill in the author's name, the genre, the title, and so on. Okay. Now, how does this template work out for us? Well, we're going to look at an example of an essay that was written by another student from another school, okay, a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, like 6 years ago. So let me bring that up to share with you guys. And we'll kind of go over how she includes all of the parts that she needs in her essay. Okay. So this was an essay written by Nicolette Barahona, November 20th, 2015. I want you to start yours out just like this. So you're going to have your name at the top. You're going to put the date that it's due. So for you guys, this would be February 22nd. Whoop, 22nd. 2021. Okay, this is going to be your name. This is going to be my name. And you can just put literary analysis. Well, not for us, actually. We called it Outsider's Essay. Response to literature. So that's what I want at the beginning of yours. So I created a template for you guys, and obviously your title, you still have to have a title for it. So this student, she decided to name hers Change Matters. So let's look at the structure. So her hook, this is her hook right here. So her hook is one sentence, and it says, "We people change, we can be miserable or we can be happy." That's a hook. So when I read that, it's like, okay, well, how can we be miserable and how can we be happy? So it kind of gets me interested in what she's going to be saying. She talks about the author's name. It's what you make of your life. S.E. Hinton shows this in the book, The Outsiders. So you'll notice author's name. She doesn't say what the genre is here, but you would have to say that it's realistic fiction. She gives the title of the book here. She gives a short summary, okay? The main character is Ponyboy. He's a greaser. It shows that Ponyboy changes in a good way. The book talks about two different gangs that are against each other and how family is always there no matter what. So she kind of has a combination of her summary and her thesis in here. So here's her actual thesis, okay? Her thesis is about people changing. Her thesis is also that people change from the beginning to the end, okay? And she has to prove that. In the book, The Outsiders, S.E. Hinton uses dynamic characters, conflict, and imagery to show that a follower can become a leader and do better for himself and for anyone else. So that is her thesis. Her thesis is that she's going to prove that Ponyboy goes from being a follower to a leader, and he becomes better throughout the book. This is a very, very well-written introductory paragraph. Okay. Now notice she talked about the things, the subpoints. So remember, when we talk about the subpoints here, right here, this is what we're going to talk about right now. So in her subpoints, she says up here, dynamic characters, conflict, and imagery. So here's where she's talking about dynamic characters. So she's going to talk about a whole paragraph on dynamic characters. Okay, so Hinton uses Ponyboy to show him as a dynamic character, meaning a character that changes and moves and gets better. At the beginning, Ponyboy did not like to share anything with anyone. He enjoyed being alone. At the end, it shows that Ponyboy wrote a book and decided to share it. On page 2, it says, "When I see a movie with someone, it's kind of uncomfortable, like having someone read a book over your shoulder." So she gives a quote, okay, which is awesome. On page 180, it says, "And I decided I could tell people, beginning with my English teacher. These two quotes show how Ponyboy has changed because it shows how he went from introverted to outgoing. In the beginning, he was introverted because he enjoyed being alone. He enjoyed keeping stuff to himself. And at the end, he became outgoing because he decided to write a book and share it with other people. So there is subpoint number 1, dynamic characters. And I'm going to highlight that in yellow just to show you. This whole paragraph is about that. So I'm going to also highlight that in yellow just to show you. So the second dynamic point that this example essay shows us is conflict. And I'm going to highlight that in green. So you're going to notice conflict right here. So this whole paragraph is about conflict. So the author takes her subpoint and makes it into her body paragraph. So there's this goes with this paragraph, this goes with this paragraph. And the last one, the last paragraph, this student decided to talk about imagery. So I'm going to highlight that in blue. And you can guess, right in this one, she's going to be talking about imagery, okay? Hinton uses imagery to create tension. So I'm going to highlight this in blue just to show you how they go together. All right, and this whole paragraph is about imagery. So the imagery are things like, well, if you read, you can read it and see. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you because I don't want to use up all the time here. And then, of course, the conclusion. Now, notice in the conclusion, we're looking for restatement of the thesis or the theme, restatement of the 3 subpoints. And this one says, remember to include how Ponyboy has grown or changed. So we can see the book The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton is an inspiring book that shows that people can change in a good way and do better for themselves and others. That is exactly what she said right up here, okay, that people change from the beginning to the end. Okay, so you restate your theme at the end. Hinton shows it by using dynamic characters, conflict, and imagery. There she's restating her 3 subpoints. This relates to the real world in the sense that people always change every day, either good and bad. This book is still important today and important to me because it gives you a sense of just how people can make you change and experiences make you change too. This book continues to help teenagers all around the world even though it is old. It sends out a message that change matters because teens are becoming young adults and they have to be physically and mentally prepared for what is coming for them. So this is an example of a 5-paragraph essay, 3 body paragraphs, just like I'm asking you guys to do. Okay. I know this is a long video. I know it's not the most exciting thing to read, but all the ideas that you need to do this essay are here. And I've included the template and all the examples on the page on Google Classroom. So it is due on February 22nd. Use your time. Don't wait till the very end because this is going to require you to find some information. And this is a good project for you because even if you're not 100% familiar with the whole book, you can write about what you know about it. Okay? Good luck. I'm looking forward truly to reading all of your essays.